Generals die in bed. Chapter 12. Vengeance. Midsummer, 1918. We are far behind the lines. No threat of death reaches us here. The countryside blooms. We have been out on rest now for nearly a month. The battalion is built up to battle strength. We drill every morning under the merciless sun. We hear rumors of battles. The idea persists among us that the Germans will win the war. We are too far from the line to hear the rumble of the artillery fire. We start going over the tapes. White tapes are laid out on the ground, representing trenches that we will later have to assault. We practice the assault again and again. We have adopted a new technique of attack. We no longer charge in waves. Instead, we make short rushes by sections in Indian file. In this fashion, each section of 6 or 8 men offers less target to the enemy. Only the man in front is visible to the enemy. The section springs to its feet, rushes a few yards, and flings itself down while another section on the flank makes its rush. This is called infiltration. It is a German tactic. Under the midday sun, we leap to our feet again and dash towards the imaginary trenches and throw ourselves into the brush or onto the stones and brambles. The company is drawn up, ready to be dismissed. Our captain reads an official report on the American attack on Chateau Thierry. All ranks are warned of the danger of bunching during an attack. At Chateau Thierry, our allies, the Americans, advanced towards the enemy lines, and at the first show of resistance huddled together in groups, which offered superb targets for the German artillery. This resulted in unnecessary loss of life, altogether out of proportion to the gains made. Discipline becomes more severe. The official automaton salute is insisted upon. After 3 years in the line, we are taken out and taught to salute properly. We go over the tapes more often. We go on long route marches. The food becomes poor. We are being hardened. It is the first week in August. We are marched over to a neighboring village occupied by brigade headquarters. It is a stifling day. The earth is baked. As we march, we kick up clouds of fine dust. Our uniforms are powdered with it. It mixes with our sweat, and we streak it across our faces with our hands. When we spit, the spittle drops like little balls of mud. Someone attempts to start a song, but we are too parched. We rest for a few minutes before entering the village. The usual crowd of little boys is waiting to escort us down the main street. We fall in and tighten our equipment. The battalion band strikes up, and we swing down the cobblestone road past the brigade headquarters. The general stands by the side of the road. Eyes right! We snap our heads in his direction. The officers salute by hand. From other parts of the village, we hear more bands playing. Finally, we draw up, soaked in sweat, in the parade ground on the outskirts of the village. Our faces are as red as the poppies of which the war poets are writing back home. We are burdened down by our packs. Our hot woolen uniforms stick to us and chafe the skin wherever they touch. We form a brigade square, 1 battalion on each side. We stand erect as though we were driven into the ground like so many fence posts. The brigadier general comes into the square. The bugles sound the general's salute. We present arms. Our bayonets flash in the sunlight. The general acknowledges the salute. We stand at ease. An aide hands the brigadier general a paper, and he reads to us. And after the Landovery castle was torpedoed, not a helping hand was offered to our wounded comrades. No instance of barbarism in the world's history can equal the sinking of this hospital ship. Think of it, more than 300 wounded Canadians struggling in the choppy waters of the English Channel. The white morning sun shimmers on the general's brass and polished leather as he reads us the report. He speaks calmly and dispassionately, which lends weight and authenticity to his remarks. The lifeboats were sprayed by machine gun fire as the nurses appealed in vain to the laughing men on the U-boat. The amputation cases went to the bottom instantly. They couldn't swim, poor chaps. The salt water added to their dying agony. Well, we had seen the frenzy of the attackers when they came over reeking with ether. It is easy to believe this story. The general continues. Men, we are going into action in a few days, and we will be given an opportunity to avenge the lives of our murdered comrades. An enemy like the German, no, I will not call him German, an enemy like the Hun does not merit humane treatment in war. Very well, if they choose to suspend the accepted rules for conducting civilized warfare, by God, too, can play at that game. The hard faces of the men harden still more as the story continues. Other staff officers address us. History will recall that the gallant Canadians did not allow this wanton act of barbarism to go unavenged. A man shuffles uneasily here and there in the ranks. The battle in which we will soon be engaged will be remembered by generations still unborn as the Battle of Llandovery Castle. More men shuffle in the ranks. A non-com spits out an order to stand still. Our general speaks out. We like him. He has risen from the ranks. I'm not saying for you not to take prisoners. That's against international rules. All I'm saying is that if you take any, we'll have to feed him out of our rations. Some of us laugh at this. Most of us are silent, however. We march back through that cloud of rolling dust. We move closer to the front. We march by night, footsore and smelling sour of sweat, and sleep like dead men during the blistering August days. All night long we tramp up the poplar-lined roads. Every now and then we are forced off the gravel into the fields to make way for the tanks, tractors, and heavy artillery which rolls in a metallic stream towards the trenches. We are now within range of heavy shell fire. We can see the flashes of the guns up yonder. At dawn we take refuge in woods or in unused reserve trenches. As the sun rises, all life, it seems, is suspended. Neither man nor beast stirs. We are utterly exhausted. The tanks and heavy guns sprawl like sleeping dinosaurs covered with camouflage tarpaulin. The months of drill and training has made us nervous. We are irritable like overtrained prize fighters. We squabble with each other. The area behind the lines swarms with troops and artillery. What havoc the enemy could play if he only knew. We lie in a wood right behind the heavy artillery lines. It is midday. We are jumpy. Near us a few birds chirp gaily as though no war was in progress. In our maniac fear we think that the birds will give our position away. We curse them. Get the hell away from here, you bloody bastards. We sit up, bleary-eyed and angry. We throw stones at them. They fly away, frightened. We go back to sleep. Amiens. It is night. We are to go into action tomorrow morning. We are to take no prisoners. We say this on all sides. It has become an unofficial order. It is an understood thing. Rumors spread. We are all to have 10 days leave in Paris after the scrap. This is to be the last battle of the war. After this, then home. General Foch is personally taking charge of the advance. And so on. We hear reports of the artillery preparation which is to precede our attack. There are 5 lines of artillery on the 20-mile front standing hub to hub. Shells will explode every second in every 3-foot area within Heine's lines. One man figures out that a louse will not be able to live through a fire of such intensity. We sit in the dugout. We cannot sleep. We talk aimlessly. What is the best way of not taking prisoners? Asks a recruit. There are conflicting opinions. One is for the use of the bayonet. Anyone that would do what those bastards did to the hospital ship ought to get a bayonet. It'd give me plenty of satisfaction, believe me. Grenades are good. Yeah, that's right. Pat him on the back and then slip a bomb in his pocket when he ain't looking. And then say, Rost mit him, Heine. He runs about 20 yards and up he goes. I did that to a Fritz at Vimy. He just came apart. The bayonet makes a messy job of it, Broadbent says. The guts stick to the blade when you withdraw. A recruit screws his face up, sickened. It's the suction that does that, the sergeant explains. A rifle makes a neat job. The bullet is hot when it hits. It sterilizes as it goes through. One of the latest arrivals, a first contingent man, speaks up. He has been silent so far. Why shouldn't we kill the bastards? Sure, we ought to kill him. At Ypres in 1915, I saw one of our officers crucified to a barn door. We look at him with respect. He has a yellow, elongated face and deep, hollow eyes. He looks like a man who has seen terrible things. He had a hiney bayonet through each hand and one through his feet. Crucified, by God. The colonel comes into the dugout. He mixes freely with us and jokes. Well, boys, we'll have lots of souvenirs tomorrow, eh? It is an hour before dawn. It is warm. There is not a sound to hint that this is a battlefield. Nocturnal insects buzz and hum. Birds chirp and sing. We lie hidden in an abandoned field of ripening wheat. We are waiting for 0 hour. It is unusually quiet. From behind the German lines, we hear the indistinct, far-away voices of men calling to one another. Hitherto this has been a quiet front, and the enemy is unsuspecting. Far, far behind our lines we hear the dull boom of a 12-inch gun. Boom! Half a minute later we hear another hollow report. Boom! These are the signals heralding the approach of the moment of the attack. The third detonation. Instantaneously the whole world becomes a flickering inferno of howling steel. The roar of the barrage is unbearable. My eardrums ache. We spring to our feet and advance slowly behind the pulverizing curtain of flame which dances before us. A veritable whining canopy of steel arches over our heads. Behind us a wave of tanks advance. They soon pass us. We are literally advancing behind a wall of steel. The air is thick with the pale yellow smoke of high explosives, the color of boarding-house tea. I feel a warm trickle on the sides of my neck. My ears are bleeding from the force and fury of the detonations. We advance slowly, sections in Indian file. We walk at a snail-like even gait. Penny advances in front of his company and directs the pace. Sometimes we halt, waiting for the barrage to move on out of the range of danger to us. A wave of Penny's hand, and we move on. We reach the front line. It is deserted. The enemy must have anticipated the attack and withdrawn in advance. The second line is reached, and still no resistance. We walk on calmly. The barrage has annihilated everything in its iron-shod march. The trenches are flattened.